Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Phay, and welcome to the channel. As a proud dad, I always wanted my son to be a lawyer, but sadly, he had a big alcohol problem. He couldn't pass the bar. Today, we're taking a look at the first expansion for Heat Pedal to Metal, and that is Heat Heavy Rain by Days of Wonder. Heat Heavy Rain, the expansion to Heat Pedal to the Metal from Days of Wonder, is basically going to offer you a couple new tracks along with some other things. You're going to have some new challenges like there's cicanes, you got some flooded roads, you got some aggressive legends, and you're going to get a couple more heat cards, stress cards, and everything else. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm not necessarily going to explain how to play the game, but I'm just going to go over what this expansion offers, and then I'm going to give you my final thoughts. So in Heavy Rain, basically what we're going to get is you're going to get two new tracks. You're going to get Japan and you're going to get Mexico. All right. And each one of them is going to offer their own unique things. And I'm going to cover the tracks probably last. You'll hear it in a little bit. Okay. You're going to get 5 more stress cards. You're going to get 15 more heat cards. You're going to get 7 sponsorship cards. You're also going to get your 12 regular cards and your 3 upgrade cards, but this is going to be for the orange race car, which you will be getting that car and that gear pawn. Okay, you're also going to be getting new events for the 1964 season, and you're going to get a couple of track cards as well. So that way you put them down for the championship series and whatnot. Okay, and you also get your player map. Now, what do these racetracks offer? Okay, now one of the things you're going to find on the Japan track is going to have some flooded roads. They're going to be roadways, and you're going to see they're going to have water on them. What happens is if you start your turn, and you are in a flooded space, if you want to downshift, it costs you a heat just to downshift 1 gear. So if you want to downshift 2 gears, it would cost you 2 heat. You can upshift like normal. So the rain is just going to prevent you from downshifting faster. So you got to be very careful about how you get into that. Okay. Now, both of the tracks are also going to offer the next 2 things, which is the chicanes and the aggressive legends. Okay. Now, the chicanes is a new feature that this expansion offers. And what it does is it's going to put 2 corners really close to each other. All right. Now, you can actually go through both of those corners, and they're usually spaced enough to where if you start right at the line and you're moving that speed, you're going to be able to make it through both corners. But if you're going a little bit faster in both corners, you have to pay the heat for both corners. So, for example, if it's a 2-stop corner and you go 3, it's going to cost you 2 heat because you got to pay the heat bonus per corner that you overshot. Okay. Now, if you are playing with the weather tiles and you do have the corner tile in place, that corner tile applies to both corners. So, for example, if it takes an extra heat, then yes, both of those would have to cause the extra heat. Or if it is +1 or -1, then both corners are going to go up by +1 or -1 as well. The last one is going to be basically the aggressive legends. Now, the aggressive legends, what you're going to have is, I believe it's what they call it, the little chevron. It's going to show up above the 0, 1, 2s, and 3s. Okay. If there's a chevron above that, that means that car, that legend car, can actually go through 2 different corners on that particular turn. Okay. Normally they're restricted to only going through 1, but if they start and they're in an aggressive spot, they can go through 2. That's how they're going to be able to get through the chicanes if they're right up there and they're in that aggressive spot. Okay. So those legends are just going to get that much better. And they're also very murderous anyways. They're really, really good. Now, the last thing you're going to get is you're going to get a new symbol for all of your garage cards and everything. And it's also going to be on the sponsorship cards. And that is the super cool symbol. It's a little purple teardrop with a little number in it. What that lets you do is when you're playing that is that's going to allow you to be able to look through your discard pile and grab a heat card equal to the number that's on that card that you played, and you're going to put it back in your engine. So it's going to help you cool off your engine just a little bit more. Now, what if you don't have any heat cards in your discard pile? Well, the benefit is you still get to look through your discard pile. So now you can actually see what cards are in your discard pile. So it's a way of actually looking through your discard pile, even if you can't take anything out. And then, like I said, you're going to get a new championship series. It's going to be the 1964. And you're going to be able to run through all 4 of those races. It looks like so far in these expansions, they're just giving us the next year up in their series, and they're just kind of keep going on that. And so you can just add that to your championship series, and you're going to get another score pad, and the score pad is just going to be blank on the top, so that way you can write in whatever you need to. But that's it. That's everything you're going to get inside Heat Heavy Rain. So what do I think about Heat Heavy Rain? Well, I got to tell you, it's just more stuff that we can add to an already phenomenal game. Anytime you're adding more tracks to a racing game and more cars to a racing game, it's just going to make it that much better. Now, the cool thing about this one is it really doesn't change the rules all that much. It's just going to add a couple little things, so it's easy to keep up with. The nice thing is we now have another car. We have the orange car, so we now have 7 cars. So if you want to play with the legends, you can, and you're playing solo, you can now play orange, and now you have all 6 of the legend cars coming in behind you, which is really, really cool. It's just one more car that you have to try to compete against. I love that one. Okay. Now, of the 2 tracks, we got Japan and we got Mexico. Now, Japan's a 2-lap track and Mexico's a 3-lap track. Japan is probably my favorite of the 2. I like the flooded space area. Okay, the areas in there. I like the dynamics of, you're going into a corner and you got to make sure that you're in the right gear for that corner sometimes before you get into that water, because if you don't have the heat, you're not slowing down and you might have to overshoot that corner. So you got to really pay more attention to the cards that you have in your hand and what you're going to be able to play. I think that is a whole lot of fun. Now, the chicanes in both of them, I love the chicanes. I love the idea of the double corners that you can go through, because getting stopped in the middle of those is going to be just really hard to try to catch up from, because it's going to put you just that one more step further behind. But I do like that. And I do like those aggressive legends. I like the fact that those legends, if they're on an aggressive spot, they can now go through 2 of those corners and they can just start running away from places. Because, some of these tracks, you get 2 corners close together, and if they get a high enough number, and especially if the corner's got a boost to it, yeah, they can make it through a couple of those corners and they're just going to start walking away from you. And it's hard to catch up. It's a really big challenge, but that's a challenge I like. I love that, trying to play that catch-up mechanic, trying to get a hold of those legends. Now, don't get me wrong. I love being in the lead and trying to stay ahead of them. But man, trying to figure out your cards and trying to build that up to where you can catch back up and maybe pass them, it's really hard to do in this game. But to me, it's just a whole lot of fun. Now, the Mexico track, I don't mind. It's a good track. It's a 3-lap track. It's a really fast track. Okay, it's a short track as well. It's one of these, the corners aren't too bad in it, but you're really going to open it up in a couple places. And like I said, with those 3 laps, it's going to change stuff up a whole lot. I still like it. I think it's still a fun track, but to me, the Japanese track is just that much better. Absolutely love that track. And then, of course, the new sponsorship cards and the new the air intake you're going to get for your garage cards. I absolutely love those, because they're just going to give you more stuff that you're going to be able to put into that drafting. Okay. Now, that super cool ability that you're going to get on that air intake and stuff, I really like that, because one of the things with this game is once you've discarded your cards, you're not allowed to really look at your discard pile. Can't sit there and go through it and figure out what's in there. But if you have that, now you can. Even if you don't have heat in there, you can still look at that and you can still see what you have in your discard pile. And that's just a big bonus, okay? Sometimes knowing what's in your discard pile is a better way for you to be able to play those stress cards, because like if all your 4s are still in your deck and you've gotten rid of a bunch of your 1s and 2s, well, yeah, and you want those big numbers for your straightaways, and you got a handful of stress cards, play those stress cards, and with a little bit of luck, you're going to get those 4s, and you're going to be able to get rid of them out of your hand, and you're going to go where you need to go. Okay, absolutely love that. Good stuff. Okay, and like I said, Heat Heavy Rain, it's just basically giving us 2 more tracks to an already great game. Okay, some of the tracks are a little bit better than other tracks, but that's the whole point of racing. Not every track is the best track. You always have to take the good with the bad. And with the new championship system, you're going to get these 2 tracks added into it. So you're going to be switching them up. Okay, you're going to be playing different types of tracks at different times. And that's what's really fun about racing. Okay, is the tracks are different every single time you play. So if you have Heat pedal to the metal, do I recommend getting Heavy Rain? Absolutely. If it's a game you love, man, you cannot go wrong by picking up this expansion. Highly recommend it. Well, thank you once again for joining me today. As always, I please ask you to like this video on YouTube, Board Game Geek, Facebook, or even on X. please leave me a comment on any one of those platforms, and I'll get to those comments just as soon as I can. And also, folks, if you like the videos that I do here, if you haven't done so already, I humbly ask you to click on that subscription button and even click on the bell and be notified when I drop new videos. And also, if you like the videos I do here, I also post videos over on the Discriminating Gamers channel. Over there, we'll do some reviews, unboxings, and playthroughs. I will leave a link to Cody's channel down in the details below. You know, I can immediately tell if somebody is lying. I can also tell if they're standing.